Can you see the pink screen? If you don't see it, let me know. Okay, can you hear me?
We can see it and we
Oh,
can.
perfect. Thank you. Okay, I'm going to play.
Hello, good afternoon. Thank you so much for having me today on the naliaZONE Vendor Summit and allowing me to present on why having an authentic social media presence matters for women entrepreneurs. So before we dive into today's content, I would love to introduce myself. My name is Candace, and I'm the founder and owner of Her Social Brand, and I help establish women entrepreneurs to show up more confidently and authentically online so they can finally take social media off of their plates and get back to running their business. Outside of being a social media manager and a certified social media strategist, I am a member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, as well as a lover of all things bacon and reality television, just to name some fun facts about me. I would love to learn more about you, so feel free during the presentation to drop it in the chat of who you are and where you're tuning in from, because I would love to get to know you more. So before we dive into the meat of today's presentation, I'd like to set up the foundation so you know what to expect. First, we're going to talk about what exactly is authentic social media marketing, why authenticity matters for women entrepreneurs, how to incorporate authenticity into social media, and steps that you can take to start showing up more authentically online. Now, if you stay through all of the presentation, there is a bonus at the end. So please watch all the way through so that way you can take advantage of the nice exclusive that I have for today's attendees. So what comes to mind when you hear the word authenticity? You might think of things like original, being reliable, trustworthy, staying true to yourself, standing by what you believe in, and all of those things are true. But when it comes to social media, having an authentic social media presence means holding true to your brand values, your personality or voice, and your unique experiences to connect with your audience on a deeper level, build trust and credibility, and stand out from the crowd. So, what does authentic social media marketing look like in practice? By being authentic on social media, that means standing by your values and not folding under pressure. In today's society, it can be easy to want to be acceptable to everybody or to fall in line with what's deemed culturally appropriate. But to be authentic, you have to stand by your values, what you believe in, and really draw that line in the sand so people know what you stand for. Second is being a trusted resource and not sharing false information. People look to others, especially brands online, to not only be a source of inspiration, but also a source of information as well. So you want to make sure that what you're sharing online is accurate and that you can become a trusted expert in your industry so that way you can build more trust and credibility. Being authentic online means staying true to yourself instead of trying to put on a front. People on social media, to be quite honest with you, are very smart. They can snuff out the fakes. They can snuff out people that are not standing by what they represent. So you want to make sure that you stay true to who you are. It's your unique personality and who you are as a person that will attract the community that you're seeking. And last but not least, being authentic online means sharing your unique gifts instead of trying to be like everyone else. It can be easy to look at somebody else that might be in the same industry as you or the same position as you and start comparing or feeling like you need to become a copy of who they are. But to be authentic and to truly build deep connections in a growing, loyal community, you have to get confident about what you bring to the table and share those unique gifts with the world. So why does authenticity matter for women entrepreneurs? It matters for three main reasons. Number one, consumers are craving more connection with companies and with brands. 57% of consumers will stay loyal to a brand if there's more human connection. Especially since the pandemic, people are looking to have that human to human interaction. They want to feel like they know you and that you're not just this entity or company that they can't connect with. They want to be able to see the human behind a brand and to be able to have those deeper connections. So make sure that you're doing that. Number two, consumers are looking for more transparency. 53% of consumers are likely to consider brands that are transparent on social media, while 86% is a big number, y'all, of consumers will likely purchase or work with somebody else if there's a lack of transparency. People honestly are interested in seeing what's happening behind the scenes, what's happening behind the curtain. So you have to get more comfortable with being transparent and vulnerable on social media. That doesn't mean sharing all your business. I'm not somebody that believes in showing everything that's happening, but it means getting more comfortable, but not just showing the highlights or the big grand things that are happening in your business, but showing all facets of your business so people can be able to connect with you on a deeper level. And number three, consumers are holding brands more accountable. 81% of people believe social media has increased accountability for businesses. People aren't looking to support brands that just talk the talk. They want to support brands that walk the walk as well. They're holding people to their word. So if you're somebody that says, hey, I'm an ally for LGBTQ plus rights, or hey, I believe in women's rights and equality, or I believe in diversity and equity and inclusion, they want to be able to see that you're standing by those values, not only through the social media presence that you have, but through the people that are in your organization, the marketing and the branding that you have for your organization. They want to be able to hold you accountable to what it is that you say, that you believe in, and what you stand for. So that is important to showing up more authentic online. So what does authenticity look like on social media? And the biggest thing for me that comes to mind or example of this is Tabitha Brown, or Auntie Tab, as so many people lovingly call her. She started out online as a content creator, just pretty much spreading positivity and sharing more about her vegan lifestyle. And that social media presence turned into a booming business. And now she has a lot of successful partnerships with Target, with the Food Network, with McCormick, with Ulta Beauty. And I'm sure that list will continue to grow. And it's not because she tried to show up like everyone else online or she was comparing herself to others. She simply was just herself. Her joyful, charismatic personality is what drew in that community. And that community eventually turned into consumers and supporters for her brand. And I love this comment that I highlighted. I'm not sure if you're able to read it, but in essence, it was just thanking her for being a vessel and a voice and for being willing to show the more human side of her. This post was talking about an experience that she had where she was triggered and it led to a major panic attack. And by showing that transparency and being vulnerable in that moment, while still keeping positivity, which is definitely her brand personality, she was able to forge that deeper connection. People felt like, hey, you know, she's not just a celebrity that has this perfect life, that doesn't struggle. She has some of the same struggles that I have. She's been in some of the same places that I've been in. And by her being transparent and vulnerable in that moment, it helped her community to see themselves in her content. So how can you start showing up more authentically on social media? Number one, let go of the need to be perfect to be accepted. I'll say that again. Let go of the need to be perfect to be accepted. As I said before, social media is a very big highlight reel. People post their best moments, their biggest accomplishments, their major milestones, and all of that is well and good. But actually trying to show that perfectionism causes a lot of alienation with your audience. It makes them feel alone. It makes them feel like, gosh, I can't ever reach or attain what she's attained because she seems to have it all together. And honestly, we're human. We're not always 100% on. We don't get it right 100% of the time. So you have to be willing to let go of always being this prim, proper, polished version of yourself and be willing to show that you are a human, that you struggle, that there's lessons that you've had to learn along the way. That's what creates more authentic connections with your audience. Number 2, get clear on your mission and values. In today's society, like I said before, people can snuff out who's real and who's not. And it can be very easy to try to conform and try to change yourself to be more palatable or acceptable by people. But that a lot of times is counterintuitive. So in order to be authentic and to also be confident and successful online, you have to be clear on who you are, what you stand for, what you believe in, what you're also not willing to tolerate, and really have that clarity so that way you don't feel the need to, fold under pressure and conform to what people want you to be, but you can confidently show up and say, hey, these are my values, because more likely than not, there are other people that share that same perspective, and that will attract a true community that actually is in line with who you are and what you stand for. Number 3, share your valleys, not just your peaks. Like I said before, we are all human. And really, a lot of times people connect to when you're struggling or when you don't have it all together. I can use an example. On my Instagram page, one of the highest performing Instagram reels that I have is when I decided to leave my 9-to-5 job. People not only were happy for me of taking this leap of faith and going into full-time entrepreneurship, but I also shared the struggles. I shared what I was dealing with within corporate America. I shared the reasons why I decided to go all out and bet on myself. And it was really sharing that story that made people feel like, hey, we have shared experiences. Social media is not only about being social, it's also about forming those human connections. And people are able to connect with you when they are able to see the ebbs and flows. Now, I'm not advocating that you share your whole life on social media because I personally don't believe in that. But be willing to get comfortable with showing those more vulnerable moments, the moments that you feel like no one would care about or might make you feel uncomfortable. That might actually lead to somebody's breakthrough, and you might not even know it. Number 4, commit to showing up consistently. And I know there's a lot of social media experts, and I say that term loosely, out there that say you have to show up every day or post multiple times a day to be successful on social media. And I'm personally somebody that believes in showing up consistently. And consistency is defined by you. It's not defined by everybody else. It's what you can commit to. If you feel like, hey, I can commit to showing up on my Instagram or LinkedIn page once or twice a week, that's a start. You can eventually build momentum and start posting more as you get more comfortable, but you have to be willing to commit to showing up. Don't leave your audience hanging. And also, you don't want to be forgotten because social media does move fast. It's a very fast-paced industry. So you have to commit to showing up. So that way you stay top of mind for your audience, but also that they can remember you and be able to deepen their connection with you. You don't want to be posting and ghosting, as I call it. You don't want to show up every once in a while and people forget about you or forget about your brand. You have to commit to showing up consistently. And that, like I said before, is determined by you. And last but not least, get confident about your unique gifts. Social media is not only a highlight reel, it is also a breeding ground for comparison. It makes people start looking at what somebody else is doing. They're more talented than me. They're better at it than me. They say it better than me. And you have to stop that. You have to block out that noise. And you have to get confident about your God-given talents. As the saying goes, there's only one you, and that is your greatest superpower. So Instead of trying to see what everybody else is doing or be like someone else, get confident about who you are. And that will attract a community. Because after all, we all have our own unique experiences, and we all have our own talents or gifts that have been given to us. So get more confident about sharing those and really start to believe in yourself and what you bring to the table. I thank you guys so much for joining me for this presentation on why having an authentic social media presence matters for women entrepreneurs. And as promised, by staying through this whole presentation, I have an exclusive freebie with 10 storytelling prompts to help you uncover your authentic story. By going through these prompts and answering these questions, you can get clear on who you are, what you stand for, and just get more confident about telling your story. So I urge you to download this freebie and work through the questions so that way you can start showing up more authentically online. And by downloading this, I'm giving another exclusive bonus gift. So make sure to download this freebie after the summit so that way you can take advantage of yet another exclusive offer for today's attendees. If you are a women-owned business that's ready to start showing up more confidently and authentically online and share your unique story, I would love the chance to work with you. Feel free to visit my website at www.hersocialbrand.com to learn more about my services, or follow me on social media at Instagram or Facebook at @hersocialbrand. I look forward to seeing you online, and thank you for tuning in.
Thank you. That was a wonderful, thank you so much, Kimberly. That was a wonderful presentation by Candace Bruton. And I think she was still online. Candace, are you still here? Because I saw her peep in during the presentation. Would you like to say a couple of words? Do people have any questions?
But
Yeah.
Angelica, if you don't mind, I would just like to say that I agree with her that telling that story on social media is so critical and so essential to getting people to tie into your brand. So I don't know if she dropped off, but right after you did, but
Here, can you hear me?
Yeah, I think she's back, Kimberly.
back? Okay, cool.
I think she is. Go ahead.
Can you guys hear me? I'm still here.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Awesome. But yes, if there are any questions, I'm definitely open to answering any that you might have. I do see one hand is raised.
Okay, I don't see a hand yet, but go ahead, whoever has their hand up.
I think she might be muted.
Okay, unmute yourself.
Sorry, it's Gina from High Five Graphics. And I wanted to ask, what happens to those people who are not as confident in front of the camera as others? Because I'm a behind the scenes kind of person. I don't like to speak publicly. I'm not as confident as some of those who create content for social media. So what are your suggestions for that?
Yeah, so I have two suggestions there. One, there are ways to be able to share your story without necessarily showing your face. Like, for example, I've seen with a lot of people that are in e-commerce or selling an actual product, they might just set up the camera as, say, they're creating a shirt or building out and packing an order. And that can be still storytelling because it's showing your process without you having to necessarily show your face. The second thing I often tell people to do as well is create videos so they can get used to getting more confident online and kind of practicing with themselves. I've noticed some people are a little bit more nervous when it's a live setting. They might feel more confident if it's something that they would pre-record and kind of get the jitters out and figure out exactly what they want to say, or if they're able to kind of show the behind the scenes or their process without having to show their face. So I would say that that's a way that you can get more comfortable with it, is kind of starting out small with, like I said, showing the behind the scenes of your business until you're ready to be on camera. Or you can always work with somebody that might be able to tell your story through photography or other means if you still just don't feel confident in kind of showing your face and being the voice for your brand.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I do have your information, so I will be reaching out soon. That is an absolute weakness for me. So thank you.
You're welcome. Happy to help.
Any other questions?
This is Melanie from Finalized by Don. I have a question. What is the current, like most, I guess, successful way of doing social media? I know right now it's videos, but is there anything else, including videos? I have been I'm just kind of learning the whole thing. And so I've been doing videos with still pictures, but would it be better to do it with moving, like a real video, or making a video with, still pictures, or a little bit of both, or?
I would say a little bit of both, especially on platforms like Instagram. They went very video heavy, and that somewhat had backfired on them. So they've been trying to reconfigure the algorithm to put more visual content back there, like photography and things like that. I would definitely say probably the top thing in terms of being successful is really knowing your audience and knowing that the platforms that they're on. Because I see sometimes, as an example, there might be a company that's on TikTok that they just feel like that's where they're supposed to be. They're supposed to be creating content on there, and it's not moving the needle because maybe that's not where their audience is, and it's not really in line with their business or their industry. So I always tell people to kind of start foundationally with knowing where your audience is and where they live, and the social media platforms that they're already naturally on. And then being on those platforms, I do think it takes kind of a multi-visual approach, not just video. Sometimes it can be infographics. Sometimes it can be visual storytelling, like I said before, with photography. But I think the biggest thing to help you be successful is to just know where the platform is that you'll have the most success, and kind of focusing on that first before you spread out to what Gina and her husband were saying before. I'm trying to do all the things. It can be the same on social media. And it can be overwhelming when you're trying to be in all the places and trying to keep up with the latest trends. So I always say to kind of start small and focus in, and find the best platform that works for you and your audience, and grow from there.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely.
Any other questions? Oh, Hope Webb.
Hello, this is Hope Webb from Amani Girl Boutique. Quick question. I still work my 9 to 5, and probably the biggest challenge that I have is posting on my social media. And one thing that you said is actually posting consistently. And I know that's different from everybody. How often should you post, on your Instagram and your Facebook platforms to be consistent?
Yes. So it ultimately depends on your goals. Usually, rule of thumb for people, I say, is if you can at least show up 3 times a week, I feel like that will keep you top of mind. I'm not somebody personally that believes in posting every day. However, the more frequent that you post, of course, it gives you more opportunities to be in front of your audience. But even for kind of my baseline clients, because the same thing, that usually their business that they started is essentially a side hustle. It's not their main source of income. So they often tell me they just don't have the time. So I always say around 3 times a week is a good place to start. And I think something that can also help people is scheduling tools. I know that there was somebody that mentioned earlier about changing your page to a creator page. By having a creator or business page on Facebook, that opens up the Facebook Business Manager, and there is a scheduling option in there. So if you feel like, hey, on Sundays, maybe I can go ahead and create the post for the week, you can go ahead and schedule it so it posts and automates for you on your behalf without you having to do it manually every time. But yes, I usually say around 3 times a week is at least a good place to start, to make sure you're still being active and staying in front of your audience.
All right. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Oh, you're welcome.
Carolyn.
Thank you. I had a question on how to create the creator account. Can you just convert? Like I said, I have a business account and then I have a personal account. So, and I know like if I try to post anything on my personal account that's like has a link to my website or anything, it doesn't show up in people's news feeds. So I know Facebook is, trying to get you to buy ads or things like that. So how do you make the creator account? And also as far as the frequency of posting, is it true that if you do post more frequently that the algorithm sets it up where it will show up more frequently in people's news feeds, or is it just because you're posting more frequently that it's showing up in people's news feeds?
So with the algorithm, it mainly is based off of user behavior. So if somebody is interacting with your content frequently, then your posts, no matter how many times you're posting, will show up more in their news feed because, like I said, it's based on their behavior. It's based on the types of posts that they interact with, the types of accounts. Also, too, hashtags go into the play with that as well. So it's more so based on user behavior and what they're already interacting with, and the algorithm will serve up more of that type of content. In terms of changing the type of account that you have, it's within the settings. As an example, on Instagram, there's a setting where if you go within the settings and privacy, it has an option where you can switch the account type, and it has either a personal account, a creator account, or a business account. So it's within the settings on either Facebook or Instagram. And it's just kind of a toggle where you switch it over in that section.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Perfect. Any other? Oh, we have Deborah Harris.
Yes. Do you have any information to share on how to improve algorithms and also on the use of hashtags?
Yes. In terms of algorithms, to be quite honest, I often tell people to not feel like they're creating content for the algorithm and to more so create it for their audience, because the algorithm is changing. And especially on platforms like Instagram, there's different algorithms for regular static posts like an image versus video content. And it's ever changing. I can, of course, have a conversation if it's helpful offline to be able to talk about your social media presence and maybe the hashtag use. A lot of times with hashtags, I approach it kind of in different forms, like thinking of what hashtags your industry is using, what hashtags your audience or community are using, and then as well as hashtags that are relevant to the topic of your post, and having kind of a mix of all three to be able to put you in front of that audience. But with the algorithm, I often tell people, like I said, to not get caught up on it because, like I said, it's based off of user behavior. So if you are creating content that your audience actively engages with, then the algorithm will naturally serve it up more based on that user behavior.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Well, we had a beautiful presentation. Candice Bruton from Her Social Brand. We will have more information in the chat with links that Candice will drop in there, but also in our special spot that will be created called naliaZONE Vendor Connect. I'll be emailing that to everyone and even inboxing the link to that special spot. Thank you so much, Candice. A beautiful presentation. Let's give her a hand.
Thank you so much.